Ames and Story County, and so we're glad you're all here. I'm here with Carolyn Klaus. She's my distinguished co-panelist or co-moderator of this event from the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County. I'll introduce her in a moment, but first I want to introduce our panel of leaders, local leaders. First, to my immediate left, Dr. Wendy Winterstein, President of Iowa State University. M.D. Isley, Vice President of Academic Affairs from Des Moines Area Community College. Mayor John Haley from the City of Ames. Paula Vincent, Interim Superintendent of the Ames Community School District. Latifa Faisal, Chair of the Story County Board of Supervisors. And Brian Dieter, President and CEO of Mary Greeley Medical Center. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. What I love about this event every year is that we do it with the League of Women Voters, and that's been a long partnership that we certainly appreciate. A lot of their members are here today. We're thrilled you're here, and it's a really good way for us to work together on behalf of the greater good of our community. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn Klaus from the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County. Carolyn.
See if my microphone works. Thank you, Dan. I also want to thank our community leaders for participating today. And I want to thank all the people in person and the ones that are live streaming on Facebook or YouTube or however you get to be part of today. That's very important. We're going to move on to the format for our community leaders in telling us about the state of our community. And here's the format. We will start with each community leader giving a brief 2-minute introduction. We have Judy Jones out here as a timer, and you will have 2 minutes. And she will give you a 30-second notice. There won't be anything before that, so in 30 seconds, that's what it is, and then she'll say time's up. And when we move on to after introductions, we'll move on to the question and answers. Dan and I will alternate with the questioning, and you get 1.5 minutes at that time. And Judy again will put up for 30 seconds left. So if time permits at the end, we can have questions from the in-person audience. So let's get started, and we'll start with Dr. Winterstein.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here and to have this conversation. I think you all know that Iowa State University values the community that we live here in Ames and in Story County, but we're a university that reaches across the state to interact with Iowans in our research programs, teaching, and extension. We're truly a land-grant university that has kept to our roots and to how we were built to serve the state. Well, it's been an exciting time this year to be able to come back together in the fall when our students arrive. We had a few problems that Mayor and I keep talking about, but the students were so happy to be back on campus, so pleased to have the opportunity to be together, and we're very hopeful that we're going to be able to continue to do this. And great fall semester, we're going to have a great spring semester as well. In addition to our great students, we have a community of faculty and staff that serve our students, conduct research, engaged in the mission of the university, and what they do every day does make a difference in so very many ways. One of our priorities at Iowa State now is how we embrace innovation and entrepreneurship. We've opened up our new Student Innovation Center where students from every discipline on campus can come over, use their creativity, learn how to create and make. So that is really the happening place on campus these days. And then when we think about our additional work, we also think about what we do at our research park, how we engage with our Small Business Development Administration, CERAS, so many other economic development programs, and we're so pleased to partner with the Chamber and the city on those opportunities as well. So thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to the conversation.
We'll move on to MD.
Super, thank you. Hello, everyone. MD Isley, Vice President of Academic Affairs with Des Moines Area Community College. Dan, Carolyn, thank you folks so much for this invitation, and your teams as well. We take our membership in this community quite seriously. We are your community college, and we intend to respond and deliver in any way possible now and certainly going forward. We, of course, have a variety of programs. Typically right now we're serving or offering at least 230 different degrees, diplomas, and certificates out of our variety of many different locations. Last year we served over 33,000 credit students and 22,000 non-credit students, even during this pandemic. As you likely know, enrollment is a bit of a challenge, certainly for community colleges across the country right now, given the response and dynamics around the pandemic and employment and other issues as well. We're quite proud of the work that we're doing. We're very proud, like I said, to be a member of this community, and look forward to sharing more information as we go forward. So thank you.
We'll move on to John.
Thank you, and good afternoon. And I also thank the Chamber and the people of voters for hosting this event. I would just say that in terms of state of the community, I would say it's extremely strong. As I look at the panelists today, the bright side of COVID is it really has forged significantly strong relationships. I think about sitting next to Lisa Head and just said, you know, I just can't imagine getting through this without having working together with the county and Mary Philly, Iowa State, and school district, and also PMAX. So I just want to acknowledge our commitment to working together. I think I shared this last year, but we became BFFs over Zoom over the last couple of years. But we could not have gotten through this without working together, and we just incredibly value that relationship. Secondly is City Council. We have a great council. We're very committed to what the needs are for the community. We challenged everybody this Saturday. We had a goal setting session and challenged them to look at what are the big issues in the community. Sometimes you can get down to leads, you can get down to a specific project. And there's 5 big issues that we talked about. One was housing. It's not only affordable housing, but it's also workforce housing and actually the availability of housing in general. And so we're going to be looking at that and how does that interface with the Ames 2040 plan that we just adopted. Secondly, mental and physical well-being. Mental health is a huge issue in this community. We had forums last year. We had mental health first aid training, and we are going to continue working on that this year. But also physical well-being, and so we again value the partnership that we have with individuals around this table and working together. Workforce recruitment and retention is going to be huge, and there are some what we do in the community to do that. Community engagement and sustainability. I'm all aware of working on a climate action plan right now. We strongly encourage you to get involved, give feedback, make surveys, contacting council members. There are some big implications, both in terms of behavior and investment. So we want to hear from you. I can't go on without saying that how important it is to be modeling stability and also working together. And I believe it starts with me, it starts with council, it starts with everyone in leadership. I deplore, I think we're all tired of what goes on at the federal level, we're tired of what's going on at the state level of time. I continue to pledge that I am committed to that, and you can hold me accountable to that, and also counsel to that, and we just need to work as a community.
What I did was the noise.
Thank you. No, that's the only close with is that one of our partnerships that we're looking forward to strengthening is that with the school district. We're excited about the announcement of the new superintendent. Look forward to welcoming him and working together with him and also with the school board. So with that, look forward to the conversation.
Dr. Paula Vincent from New School.
Well, good afternoon. I'd like to echo the thanks that others have extended for this opportunity to be here. Thanks to the Chamber and to the League of Women Voters. The opportunity for public discourse is so very important. The most important part of my title, you might have heard though, is interim. We are very excited. Our school board has done a phenomenal job of really beginning in July with the identification process of long-term leadership for the district. And they just made that announcement this week. And very excited about the possibilities for the district moving forward with that sustained leadership coming. Along with that, as some of you may know, we serve about 5,000 students, and we serve residents not only from here in the Ames area, but in the whole county, and some students from out of state. So we're happy about that, and we have about 700 staff members. I have that perspective of 6 months, so it's not real long, but I can say to you, in my experience in the time here, what a wonderful community Ames is, what an asset for the entire state. And I don't know that I've ever worked with a more dedicated group and talented group of leaders, as well as staff within our buildings. And the engagement really stands out also from our families and from the community partnership, as you see here. Those are strengths that I hope all of you value. They haven't been every place that I have worked, and so it has been a real privilege to be able to be here, even if it is in that interim position. Thank you.
Next will be Latifah Faisal from Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, Dan, and the Ames Chamber of Commerce, and the Ames Community School District for hosting today. It's wonderful to see so many people here. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining virtually if you are with us online. I'm the newest member on the Board of Supervisors, so I wanted to take just a second and introduce myself to everyone. I'm a lifelong Story County resident, graduate of Ames High School, DMAC, and Iowa State University. I'm also the mom of 4 wonderful daughters, 2 beautiful dogs, and 1 grand puppy. And so thank you again for being here. Before I joined the board, I spent 17 years as a county employee working in victim services and program development in the county attorney's office. For anyone who isn't quite sure what the Board of Supervisors does exactly, we set the county budget, policies, the county tax levy. We are the district drainage district trustees. We appoint to different boards and commissions like Board of Health, Conservation Board, Planning and Development, and asset volunteers. We each individually serve on between 10 and 15 different boards and commissions. We meet every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. We invite everyone to come and join us either in person or on Zoom every week. And if you're not able to join us live, then you can watch all of our recorded meetings and work sessions on our YouTube channel, or listen to the recordings on our website. Thank you again for being here. I look forward to the rest of the conversation.
And our last community leader is Brian Dieter from Mary Greeley Hospital Medical Center.
Thanks. And again, echoing what everyone has said, and a special shout out to the schools for hosting, but the Chamber and the League for coming together to sponsor this. I'm not going to talk about COVID until we get to that point in the question and answer. But I just want to tell you a couple things that are going on at your hospital. Our birthways and pediatrics unit went through a major change. This was part of a $15 million construction project. We added 23 new labor, delivery, recovery, and postpartum, cleverly acronymed the LDRP rooms, and now have all of our birthways and pediatrics spaces on the same floor, which we believe enhances patient care and family interaction. All of our LDRPs also can serve as neonatal intensive care unit space, so we don't have to separate moms and family from baby. And we think that that is just absolutely state of the art. Less than a couple dozen hospitals in the country that are doing that yet. And this, as I mentioned, it was a $15 million construction project supported with over $1 million of community support fundraising. And gifts are actually still coming in. Less obvious, but equally important, we have added a significant outpatient behavioral health clinic. We actually had a very small space up on the 6th floor outside of our inpatient unit. We moved that down to just across from the emergency department, 1st floor. We've been able to recruit a second psychiatrist. And meanwhile, our inpatient unit is undergoing a significant transformation, and we will be expanding inpatient capacity and opening a new inpatient unit in 2023. We partnered with Iowa State with regards to nursing. As you might know, Iowa State is amongst the newest. I'm not going to make eye contact with your son. Is among the newest nursing education venues for us in Ames. And we partnered to put together a program that will fund Bachelor's of Science in Nursing Achievement for 8 folks from Mary Greeley. And then finally, we added 2 smaller features, but we think are equally important with regards to patient care and patient experience. The first is our hyperbaric oxygen chambers, which help in wound healing. We featured that in our Health Connect magazine. And we also opened a new healing garden on the east edge of our campus on Duff, near the Bliss Cancer Center entrance. It was a $350,000 project, 100% supported by community donations. How did I do?
Great.
Thank you, Brian. Well, it is true, Paul, I would agree with you that it's not like this everywhere. I've been other places too, and the collaboration and collegiality that we have with these community leaders is impressive and it's really important. And that's why we get things done in this community and in this region, is as a result of those relationships. And so we're grateful for that. We're going to start with the first question, and I'm going to start with MD. And the question is, what are the primary opportunities and challenges for each of your respective organizations, and how has COVID affected or influenced your response?
Great, thank you, Dan. Opportunities, challenges, and COVID. Okay, I would say just, as a community college with a long history of serving Central Iowa, we are and continue to be well positioned to respond to a wide variety of business and industry needs. For example, right now we're in a discussion with programming partnership opportunities with Amazon, Google, and now Tesla as well. So you think about, and one of the things that's wonderful about being a DMAC employee is that whenever you bring up DMAC, you almost automatically have a connection with someone in this community, in many communities, that has a direct connection, either having attended to one area community college or having a family member or someone as well. So from an opportunity perspective, we are here and well positioned, and look forward to continue serving in that capacity. Challenge-wise, as you can imagine, the demand right now related to the pandemic and everything else is unique, but certainly significant. We are, of course, struggling to attract enough students to train them to meet employer needs. I don't see that going away anytime soon. We're doing everything that we can. We turn over every stone. We have every conversation that we can possibly have to figure out a way to do that. Talking to Brian while we were having lunch, we were talking about the challenges with the nursing shortage. We, too, are trying to respond to that through the preparation of nurse education as well. We're having a very difficult time keeping our medical nurse adjunct faculty in the classroom to teach our students because their job is so demanding over time and everything else that it's very hard for them to meet their classroom obligations, just as an example. So those are real significant challenges that we are going to and will continue to face in some manner. Another one that I do want to mention, however, is you probably heard, or if you were watching or listening to the news last June, you heard about DMAC's suffering or experiencing a ransomware attack. I bring that up because I think it's important to bring up. If you've not, and hopefully many of you have, considered what your response would be, what kind of insurance coverage you might have, and everything else, please do take time to learn and plan for something like this. I would like to say we were reasonably well prepared. I think we were, but it was major. We had to rely on outside legal firms, technical firms, public relation firms, at significant additional expense. Thank goodness we did have insurance to address much of that. We were completely inoperable for a 2-week period. We could not teach our online classes. Think about that. The year before, we shifted to online technology to help get us through the pandemic, and a year later, we're scrambling and shifting away from it so that we can survive and teach our students that are taking summer classes as well. So definitely a challenge that I think we all should pay serious attention to. Are we prepared for it the next round? We're not quite sure. I think we're better prepared based on experience, but it is a moving target at all times. COVID?
Yeah, you're.
Am I over? Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I hate to cut you off.
I don't
We're
mind
providing
talking-
relevant information, you really are.
I
Thank
don't
you so
mind
much.
talking less about COVID.
Yeah.
So.
Frankly, all of your responses are tied back to COVID in many respects. Yeah. Thank you, MD. Mayor Halo.
So I get the same amount of time as he got, or?
He had 1 minute and 35 seconds.
All right. Opportunities. I mentioned 5 goals that council has set, and none of these can get done just by council alone. So we can certainly take the charge or lead or seek to be an engaged partner. But for example, mental health, it's going to require working together with, and the school board is committed to doing that. You started an ad hoc committee. It's working with Iowa State. It's working with Mary Greeley. Workforce is a big issue. And that actually is something that is probably something that I'm really concerned about. You just talked about that, MD, in terms of students. I'm not sure that we have a secret sauce yet, but we got to talk about it. And community engagement, Iowa State Department of Community Regional Planning helped do a Play Ames event, and so that helped us to start reaching out people who are not necessarily at the table a lot of times talking about things. And sustainability, I have the pleasure of appointing 27 people in the community to serve on a supplemental input committee, and they are providing feedback from different entities, business community, from faith community, students, and et cetera. Challenges, sometimes we can kind of get in the weeds, council can, and so it's keeping the big picture in mind and goals, and so not majoring on the minors. And also a scheduling challenge, and sometimes it takes weeks or a month to get a meeting scheduled with board or commission. And COVID effect, who is not tired of Zoom? And we don't get as much done, I don't think, on Zoom as we do in person.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Vincent.
I'm going to do the obvious ones first with this, the COVID thing. Some of you are probably aware the 8th Circuit threw us yet another curveball yesterday, and so we continue to try to navigate where are we in COVID mitigation procedures, how do we keep our schools safe and open. The staffing labor shortages obviously play into that, and we have found ourselves also needing to spend time intentionally reteaching what it means to be in schools, whether you're a 2nd grader or an 11th grader. We lost some of our typical abilities to be together, learning in a social environment through the COVID process, and are so happy to be back in our schools and being able to sustain that at this time. But I'll close my comments, try to keep us on time, which is highlighting one exciting feature that we have going on. I don't think you could be here and not have noticed that fabulous new high school being built. Over $100 million project. And the spaces and the design, the thought behind it, that doesn't happen without community support. So thank you for that, and be happy to ramble on more about that, but I'm not out of time.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. Supervisor Faisal.
I was excited to read this question because I think all of the challenges we face present opportunities. And so I'm just going to talk about the opportunities. Well, I'm going to talk about the challenges kind of through the lens of opportunities. So COVID has presented a number of challenges, but an opportunity for us to really look at how we provide services, how accessible our services are, and forced us to become flexible and respond quickly to changing environments. So I think that has been a fabulous opportunity for the county. With COVID came the American Rescue Plan Act, and over $18 million that the county is getting from the federal government, that we have complete control over what we do with those funds. And Story County is one of the few counties in the state that decided to open up opportunities to our communities and our local providers to take advantage of that funding. And that's been incredibly exciting. At yesterday's board meeting, we made some preliminary decisions, about $12 million awarded to communities throughout the county, as well as different providers and organizations throughout the county. So I'm incredibly excited about that opportunity. We have climate change and resiliency planning that we're starting to work on. The derecho was a challenge. Both derechos were a challenge, but it's really forced us to take advantage of the opportunity to work on climate resiliency. Thank you.
Thank you, Latifah. Brian?
I would echo Dr. Vincent's comments with regards to curveballs. Frequently, the courts have influenced us. Our big challenge with regards to COVID was taking care of about 1,300 people this year that were confirmed COVID, compared to about 900 in 2020. CMS vaccine mandate was, of course, initially we were responding as if it was going to happen. That was on hold, and then the Supreme Court weighed in. Final analysis right now, I'm guessing we're going to lose about 5 people over it. So it's not, it's by no means catastrophic, but those 5 will be missed. Our opportunity to continue to work closely with our medical staff on all elements of our communication, I think has been fabulous, and I think that's been a real opportunity, if you will. And in 2021, we took a step to kind of roll back the curtain a little bit and show those of you that were not inside the hospital what was going on. And the Des Moines Register dispatched a reporter and a photojournalist and ran really an outstanding series of what was going on. Well, they came back, and you can look for their update January 30th. We're as anxious as you might be to see what they found.
Thank you, Brian. President Michel.
Well, I'm going to focus on opportunities and challenges and not mention COVID at all. Sorry, I can't talk about COVID anymore. Entrepreneurship and innovation at Iowa State is the real deal. Recently, the Princeton Review ranked us number 11 in the nation out of 300 universities in terms of the best entrepreneurial education students could get as undergraduates. We really like that number, and we're going to work to even lower it to a better number in future analysis. When we think about how we make our community work, we think about the over $500 million we bring in every year in external funding that involves research and other dollars. That makes a difference in who we can employ, the work that we can do. That's a big deal. So over $500 million every year. When we think about donor support, we just finished a $1.542 billion campaign. That makes a difference in what we can do in terms of scholarships for our students and programs with faculty and staff. And then I would just add, getting ready to build with donor money, all donor money, a $52 million industrial and engineering building on campus. So lots of opportunities. Challenges, back to the mayor's comments, it's about mental health. It's about alcohol and other drugs. It's about sexual assault. Those are the issues that we talk about almost on a weekly basis at Iowa State. And finally, state funding. We have not been very successful in getting the state to provide additional funds for the region universities, and we're working hard on that.
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, we'll go on to question 2, and we'll start with Mayor Thaler on this one. Collaborations are always key. How can your colleagues, the Chamber, the League, and other interested parties best assist you as you work to address the opportunities and challenges facing your respective organizations? So you told us about the challenges, and tell us how we can help you.
Well, thank you, first of all, for asking that question, because, again, points to the fact that we're all partners here in this community and working together. One of them is we have 120 individuals that are appointed to boards and commissions. And I've been very encouraged that we have a much broader cross-section of individuals that do serve on boards and commissions. But if you're interested in serving everything from planning and planning and zoning to zoning board of adjustment to ever popular Ames Public Library Board of Trustees or Park Commission, that's a great way. And the chamber does a good job, and I'm sure Lee does too, getting that message out on the website. Secondly, is being actively engaged and giving us feedback. I can't tell you how few emails we get from people just saying, hey, really appreciate this, or I'm not looking for pats on the back, but essentially giving us positive feedback and also what is working and what's not working. But we do get a lot of emails from some people, but it's nice to get a broader cross. And then in terms of, just again, I think our community does a tremendous job of really seeking to be civil towards one another. It extends to everything, including the LGBTQIA+, it has to do with race, it has to do with anything. And unfortunately, and it's really tragic, students are getting, it used to be the cliques were around who had the best shoes or whatever, it's around political parties. We have got to get rid of this partisan nature in our community. We have to get rid of it. And I'm proud of the city council. I couldn't even tell you who's registered in what party. I don't care. All I care about is that people really care about this community and work hard towards it. I believe that all of you in here do the same. We've got to basically work together. If we don't, we're going to fall apart. But that's something that the chamber continues to champion. I'm sure Lee does as well.
Okay.
Doctor. Yes, thank you. I just want to echo that need for civil discourse. That is so important, and I raise that alongside maybe one of our major emphases where we could really use the partnership and the help, and that's continuing the work around equity. We have the benefit of being here in this room, so you can see our purpose statement on our wall. But when we talk about equity, we're talking about equity of opportunity, equity within our workforce, all of those things, and we can't do that unless we're working together as a community. Within that, a subset of that is a focus for us on assuring that students can read and are literate at a very young age. A shout out to the Story County Reads and the League of Women Voters. For years, the community has worked on that. Our work's not over. Our data says to us that we do a nice job as a system for most of our kids, and yet if we look at disaggregating that data by different groups, we do not do as well by many different categories, whether that's economic or race. You take whatever description you want to. So we need your help to continue with that, and I'll save my next remarks for the next question. Latifah.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what's already been said. What we need is more participation. What we need is to hear people's concerns, hear your ideas, see you showing up at meetings, volunteering for different boards and commissions. That's what we need. A wonderful example is there's a study going on with the League of Women Voters and that on rural transportation, and that started because one league member made a phone call and had a couple of questions. And now they're doing a whole study. They've been participating in multiple meetings. It's just been fantastic to watch them bring that energy forward and really engage people in different conversations that have happened so far. Another great example is the Story County Economic Development Group, which is Story County staff, all of the communities in Story County, and the Chamber of Commerce coming together and talking about innovations, challenges, and different ideas and ways that we can all partner together to solve problems.
Okay, Brian?
Yeah, I think there are a few natural partnerships and collaborations that make a ton of sense. Workforce is one of the issues that I'm not sure if it's a specific question or not, but workforce is huge for us right now. And whether it's our community schools, DMAC and Iowa State University, continue opportunities to explore and develop partnerships around that. With regards to something that you probably don't think about very often, but I hope you all know the number 911 service. We had a really good partnership, an improvement in our partnership with Ames Fire. Ames Fire took upon themselves to upgrade their skill set so that they are more effective first responders. There are certain things that they're allowed to do by code as a result of their upgrade of their skills, and that's a significant enhancement for our community, makes our community better. And then finally, I would echo what the mayor is. I know it may be a hallmark cause for him, and we want to partner with you and continue, and that's mental health and mental wellness. We have failures in our system that we see every day, and we are not serving our next generation well. And then one thing that you might be interested in, regularly our leadership at the medical center meets with the leadership of Story County Medical Center. We don't have what I would consider a giant major goal other than sharing experiences and opportunities and trying to find where we might work together.
After we receive them. You know, there are just so many opportunities for collaboration every day, and in our community, those opportunities are fulfilled. I have staff that are on different boards, participate in different ways, and you just see it all the time. And so I'm very proud of the collaboration that exists in our community. While we can always do more, it's alive and well. In terms of the issue of workforce, we have at Iowa State almost 31,000 students, and most of them are working. I talked to a young man last night who's getting a degree in cybersecurity. He told me that he will be able to graduate from Iowa State in 4 years, and he will have worked for a company at the research park every one of those years. So he'll go out into the workforce with 4 years of experience. And he was so pleased. So that's the kind of connection and opportunities, I think, for the local businesses. So workforce is a big issue, and we hope we're contributing with our students. Feedback is really important. I will tell you, during COVID, I got more feedback than I needed. Frighteningly so. But it really is how we improve continuously. And so I hope people do let us know what they're hearing, what they're concerned about, because we do. We read all of the emails that come in, as long as they're not just a standardized response. So finally, help us stand up. Help Iowa State stand up and be recognized for the work it does. Share the stories you know about Iowa State, and we would appreciate your support.
Okay, indeed.
Okay, then I will watch the timekeeper.
Okay.
So I echo much of what's been said here as well. Certainly one thing that we would ask you folks to do is, if you know of anybody that needs to improve their lives in some way, please do ask them to consider DMAC and the variety of programs that we have available. It's amazing how, in a short period of time, we can have real positive impact on people's lives. Many of those programs that I reference have funding behind them through the Last Dollar Scholar program within the state of Iowa, or even Pell money as well. So we have many programs in which students end up basically earning and receiving that education for very, very little money, if any at all. Secondly, regarding workforce, we've we are emphasizing our approach to work-based learning opportunities. So if any of you folks would like to talk to DMAC about how we can ensure that our students are getting the appropriate experience while receiving their education, we would very much like to have that kind of conversation also.
Thank you, indeed. Okay, we're going to move to our next question. We'll start with Dr. Vincent. What are some major projects or undertakings that your organization will be taking up in the next year?
You've heard a little bit about this from some of the partners sitting up here, but our board is very excited to be engaging in the work around mental health and how we might, as a school system, enhance our resources that we have available for children. We appreciate the partnership with, I think, everybody around the table here is a part of that, helping us think through. We have community organizations coming to our schools to help provide services specific to students now, and we just know we have a much bigger need there, so that will continue. Another one that we haven't spoken about yet today our teaching and learning group is working on how we can provide additional resources and support to our staff to enhance the quality of instruction in our classrooms. We all know there's tight research between the quality of a teacher in a classroom, the engagement with families, and student outcomes. So those would be just a couple that I would highlight.
Thank you, Paula.
So talking about workforce, some of the American Rescue Act funding has been directed to workforce development program in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and DMAC, trying to reach those folks who maybe are a little bit lost right now and needing some help getting back into school and filling some of those very important positions that we have around the community. Also, another project that we're beginning to undertake is our climate resiliency planning, our housing action plan. That's in partnership with the Story County Housing Trust Fund, Ames Chamber of Commerce, and others. Just taking the housing study that we did over the past couple of years and really putting that into action, moving on some of those action steps that were identified. As far as county engineer projects that are happening, there are 11 bridges and culverts that are either going to be replaced or repaired over the next year, as well as different road overlays. Conservation is always, always, always very busy. Continued work down at Hickory Road with Farland Lake restoration and South Skunk River steam bank stabilization. So lots and lots of projects going on. And again, that ARPA funding is going to has taken up a lot of our time and will continue to take up a lot of our time as we, thank you.
Brian.
So I mentioned our work that's going on with regards to reconstruction of the new inpatient behavioral health unit. I think that's our most significant capital project. And that will be located in what we call the South Patient Tower, or for those of you who've been in Ames for a while, the original patient tower as opposed to the new one, which is on the west side of our campus. And then I would say our other major project has to do with workforce. And it's internal. We have developed a program called Career Pathways for 17 different job classes where people have an opportunity to advance within their job class. Previously, it was just basically based on years of service. And as they acquire additional skills, we're recognizing that in a different fashion. And trying to work to be flexible with regards to introduction of potential new sources of employees. We just recently had 3 high school students who have become patient care techs for us in the hospital. So we're being flexible and open and looking at new challenges or new solutions to this challenge of workforce.
Thank you, Brian. Wendy.
Great. As we think about those challenges that I mentioned earlier of mental health, alcohol and other drugs, and sexual assault, we have a task force focused on student well-being, and we're going to be working on that ongoing through this calendar year. There are many things that I think we need to be thinking about in terms of doing differently to support our students in those areas. In terms of big projects, we're building the new veterinary diagnostic lab. You see it every time you drive on Highway 30. You see a new feed mill that's going up out there. We have a brand new turkey facility, big projects like that. On campus, I mentioned the industrial engineering building that will start to go up in the next year. We're hoping to do a renovation of LeBaron in our college, for our College of Human Sciences. We'll be celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Ames Lab. We are the only university that hosts the Department of Energy Lab on its campus, one of 17 in the nation. The Ames Lab was established when a chemist at Iowa State during World War II figured out how to purify uranium for the war effort. So we'll celebrate that 75th anniversary, and we'll continue our work to go after federal funding for a new Critical Materials Institute at Iowa State in the Ames Lab. Critical materials being those materials that are in all of your cell phones and primarily are located in China now.
Thank you, Wendy. Indeed.
So one of the things related to workforce, and in this case, it's our workforce internally. Obviously, we're doing a lot of work, like many of you are, around remote work and those options. This is a major shift for an established community college system. We're also looking at it from both an employee perspective on the faculty side versus the staff side as well. Faculty typically have quite a bit and have had quite a bit of autonomy over the years. We want to continue to support that, but we also want to make sure that our staff are now working in a manner that is conducive and supportive, not only to the organization, but to them in their lives. We recognize that talent is shifting, opportunities are revealing themselves in many other ways, so we want to make sure that we are well positioned and attractive as an employer to our employees going forward as well. We recently received $1 million grant from the governor for another career academy, so we're working on establishing that new program in Templeton, Iowa, out of our Carroll campus location. We are completing $50 million worth of construction projects at our Ankeny, Boone, Carroll, and Urban campuses. And we're also working towards, or rather involved right now through the strategic planning process that is a different approach than DMAC has taken previously. The two main points of that strategic planning process that will be incorporated in all that we do are strong focus and emphasis around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then also guided pathways, which is community college movement, ensuring that we are doing everything we can to make sure that students get on the right path, stay on the right path, complete the right path, and learn appropriately in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, MD. Mayor Halen.
Well, as we all know, we got a beautiful high school being built, pool to be built, and our municipal pool is going to be demolished end of next month. And so we are pursuing a new aquatic center, indoor aquatic center. However, how can you help? We need people to be patient and understanding. It's going to be several years before we have a new warm water basin indoor aquatic center. And last night, Keith Abraham, Parks and Recreation, gave a very good report explaining how we're trying to accommodate some of the swim needs, both lesson-wise as well as exercise, in different, Iowa State is one of them, at Forker. But that's going to be, so patience and communication and understanding and being kind to people regarding that. I just want to do a shout out. How many of you enjoy driving down the South Grand Extension? 20 or 25-year undertaking. Towards workforce and culture, we're going to do a new downtown plaza. Which just awarded the contract to move the parking lot to the north side. And now we're going to build a new downtown plaza, which should be an integrated magnet. I got a splash pad that's going to go into a park. We invest about $1 million to $1.5 million a year on multimodal trails, that means bike trails, walking trails, and also modifications to our streets to accommodate that. And then certainly we have mental health, and that's something that we'll be working on in terms of training, education, and support through collaboration.
Thank you, Mayor. Carolyn, back to you.
Well, I just want to tell you that Brian said he would send me to DMAC and teach me to be a nurse. So you're never too old, so get out there. So we're going to move on and we'll start with Latifah. Diversity and inclusion have always been something this community and all its stakeholders strive to achieve. How are your respective organizations ensuring that you are as diverse and inclusive as possible?
Well, thank you. One thing that I'm really excited about is we have budgeted money, we're not done with our budget, but we budgeted money for diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant to come into the county. Basically, the hope is do an equity audit and then provide us action steps and some guidance as we move through that process. I'll be honest, we've got a lot of work to do. And that work doesn't end just because we say we're going to bring on a consultant or we're doing 1, 2, or 3 things to be more equitable and diverse and attract as many different people and talented groups to serve on committees and work for the county. I don't want it to appear like I'm just giving lip service to what we're hoping to do. It's a big project, and we have many different departments and elected officials that we're working with. So it's going to be a big undertaking, but I think it's important, and I think it's time. And as a longtime county employee, I know there's been a lot of work done in the county, but I also know that we have a tremendous amount of work left to do. So I appreciate this question, and I hope that this question happens every year and happens in many other environments and opportunities. Thank you.
Brian?
Our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts have really taken sort of two tracks, and I'll focus first on Mayor Greeley as an employer, place to work. You think about it, you spend more time awake at work than probably any other single pursuit. So work should be a place that is free of bias, coercion, and discrimination. Our four task forces have been formed and are working to collect stories, to provide education, to provide opportunity, and to work through policy. And then our patient experience. Recognize that we have patients, and it's difficult sometimes to put ourselves in the place of the patient. We can all say, well, I'll pretend I'm the patient today, but we access, quite frankly, a very different healthcare system than the rest of you do. I mean, I would expect to text my physician or nurse if I have a concern. That's not always the case. So we formed a patient and family advisory committee. And that's been that group working for about 5 years, trying folks that are interested in providing feedback to the hospital, and you have to recruit people who are willing to provide that feedback in an unvarnished fashion, and I think we've done a very nice job of that, and sometimes, Wendy, I agree, the feedback can be overwhelming. Then we specifically asked for two subsets of that, a mental health focused patient family advisory committee. These are folks that have either been in our care or they've had loved ones who have. And then as we were building our new OB unit, we also asked for specifically engaged a OB-focused patient family advisory committee. Because again, our name bands used to say mom and dad. Yeah, we were a little 1980s focused. So we have reformed.
Thank you, Brian.
Iowa State has a long history of its work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it is all across campus. It's in our faculty and staff community and in student government as well. Most recently, we are so proud that we have hired our new Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Dr. Sharon Perry-Fantini. She's a great addition to the Iowa State University team. She'll be a great addition to our community as well as we go forward. Every week, the senior leaders at Iowa State, myself, meet 3 times to talk about issues related to the campus climate. And these are conversations that are check-ins and also conversations about how we develop proactive steps to further assist our students that fall into that category of multicultural or international students or disability, veterans. Go down a long list of how we think about diversity in a very inclusive manner. And we think about how do we make it better, how do we do a better job. At Iowa State, our multicultural and international students make up almost 25% of our students. Remember that first generation students at Iowa State make up 21%. So we have a whole set of individuals coming with various financial ability, various disabilities that we work with and bring forward so that they can feel like they belong.
Thank you. Andy?
Sure. So I'm pleased to say that DMAC, prior to the pandemic, was working quite aggressively on DEI concerns and initiatives, and therefore, since then, with a bit of a delay during the pandemic, we have established the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and hired a director as well. And as I mentioned previously, DEI is also a major part of our strategic planning efforts.
Thank you. Karen?
Well, first of all, the mentioned boards and commissions, one of the things that we're always trying to do is to get a better cross-section representation on those groups. We have a Human Relations Commission, which has a very diverse membership, and I'm challenging them to really be thinking outside the box, looking what we can do to try and build a more inclusive community. The police department is always asking for referrals from the community for good police officer candidates that are diverse. I heard Chief Huff say that on a number of occasions. So if you know people who are from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different nationalities, he would love to talk to them if they're interested in going to law enforcement. The City of Ames has an employee development center class system that gives the city employees and covers a wide range of topics. And in mid-February, employees can attend LGBTQ in the workplace, understanding sexual orientation and gender identity diversity. So there's always a push to try and get that in the conversation. And last, the City of Ames is committed to supporting events such as the Building Inclusive Organizations. We created and maintained inclusive crosswalk in the community, participating in MLK celebration and other events. So there's a broad cross-section of things that we're endeavoring to do to celebrate everyone who's here in Ames.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just make a couple of final comments. The Ames School District has developed diversity, equity, and inclusion plan that they've had in place for many years. They're in the process of trying to gather additional input. You can find some links on our website that give you details. We invite you to join with us in that or offer us the feedback. Heavily right now, we are trying to get to our student data and student outcome data to assure that we are making adjustments in our system to improve those outcomes across whatever category or group that you might see within the school district. I'll stop there as I look at our time.
Well, our time, that's a fast 55 minutes. And we'll end it with no more questions. I'm sorry, I'm sure each one of you had a question from here. So, Dan, you want to sum it up and ask?
There's never enough time, and Carolyn runs a tight ship, so she said, Dan, we're done now. What we'll do is we will ask for a final comment from each of our presenters, so we'll start with Brian.
My summary would be our team has been amazing. I cannot tell you how proud I am of people who get up every morning or night and put on a Merit Greeley badge and come to work. It has been an arduous task. It has been in many instances thankless and sometimes quite a bit worse than thankless. And our team has shown amazing resilience. And I am extremely proud of them. And as community members, you should be as well. We stand ready. We've had wait times longer than we're used to and longer than we like. But sometimes, you know, the popularity of your product shows. And we have been in high demand. We appreciate the trust that the community places in us. We don't take that for granted. We work every day to earn that trust and to deliver on our promise of doing what's right.
Thank you, Brian. President Winterson.
Well, Brian, what a great thank you. And I just add to it, at Iowa State, we have almost 6,000 faculty and staff that are employed by the university and other 6,000 students that work for the university. And just as Brian said, we would never have gotten through the past 2 years without their strong commitment and leadership for the rest of the community. So a big thank you to all of them, and a thank you to the partners at this table for all the conversations that we've had during COVID and how we found our way forward together. We all should be thankful for the community that we live in.
Thank you, Wendy. Lee.
So recently, or this past fall, I had the opportunity to sit through a statewide accreditation visit. So as part of that 3-day process, many different people from within DMAC had the opportunity to report out on what they're doing, answer questions, and anything like that. And it is absolutely rewarding to sit through something like that and realize the vast amount of very good work that is being done by so many very committed professionals. Other than that, I would like to say this: please do advocate and be supportive of, and don't take our teachers and our healthcare workers for granted. They've been through so much the past few years, and we owe it to them to support them and speak up on their behalf. It's critically important. We may lose them if we don't.
Very good, thank you, MD.
Thank you. Just to, I can't think of a better place to live in America, Ames, Iowa. I don't know about you, but I am just so honored to represent you as mayor. And what makes Ames great is not the attractions, it's the people. And on the staff team, I just can't say enough. How many of you think about who plows the snow at in 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? Probably in your driveway, like mine. But anyway. But the point being is that we do get positive comments and feedbacks on people coming in and install water meters at people's houses, and the librarians, the street people out there, believe it or not, fixing broken water mains today, dealing with water underground. I'm not saying we have one today, but the point is on days like today, that's when it usually breaks. And so, but I say, if you don't know about it or don't realize it's happening, they're doing a good job. They're in the background. So our staff, our leadership is doing outstanding. And I'll just close with this. I don't want to get Debbie Downer, but this mental health situation, we can do something about it. And honestly, what can you do about it? Think about what you post on social media. Think about what you say or talk about to your kids, to your grandkids, to your neighbors about political parties or what's going on. I'm serious. I mean, if we don't stop picking at each other and being critical of one another, this is really not going to go well for us. And our kids pick that up, they absorb it. More is caught than taught. And so I just ask for each one of you to think about that. And when we start saying we're going to have forums and training and other opportunities, I ask you to get involved and working with Iowa State. And I mentioned mental health, but I agree, it's substance abuse. So anyway, the point is that the reason I close with it, we can do something about it. I want Ames to be a model for the people in the nation to see, hey, what are they doing right? It's really making a difference. And so I look forward to working with all of you and your commitment. Thanks for coming out this afternoon, this morning, this afternoon, whatever it is.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Benson.
We all know that strong educational systems contribute so much to the quality of life that we all can enjoy in our community. And the partnerships here and the support of the community make it available for us in this community. So thank you for that. And just echoing those words, let's continue to advocate for those strong systems. And rest assured, you have a very strong pre-K through 12 system, and I would dare say, continuing into post-secondary here in this community. What a wonderful set of resources you have.
Thank you, Paula. Latifa.
I think everything's pretty much been said, but this is just an example of how fortunate we are to be here in Story County and be surrounded by such strong and thoughtful leadership. It is my great privilege to be able to work with all of you and all of you watching and out here today. We're taking on some pretty significant challenges and opportunities, and we can't do it alone. And just thank you so much for being here. 1 minute is just not enough time to talk about all the things. So.
Talk to Carolyn about that.
I will. After she's done with Grace's.
We'll make this all day next year. See if that's long enough.
Folks, please give our panelists a round of applause. Quality leadership shouldn't be lost on anybody. And clearly we have that here in our community and our region, and we're very grateful for that. I would say finally, as we close and lay the plate on this, thanks to all of you for being here today. Thanks to those of you at home or at the office or watching online. It's really important that our leadership hears from people like you. It's important that the community plugs in and continues to be engaged. I want to thank Ames, the League of Women Voters at Ames and Story County, and my very capable co-host, Carolyn. Thank you so much. Thanks to the Ames Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors that are here in the audience today. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.